بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Tonight's reflection is on Surah Al-Anfal. I'm not going to go into the meaning. I'm not going to go into the introduction or the meaning of the surah, but I would rather go to a very important theme within the surah, which is إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا وعلى ربهم يتوكلون الذين يقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا لهم درجات عند ربهم ومغفرة ورزق كريم. Subhanallah, these ayat at the introduction of this surah are so powerful. طيب, إنما المؤمنون, remember إنما التوبة على الله, it's inclusive. This is the only description of the believers. إنما المؤمنون, this is inclusive. That if you want to be mu'min, if you want to be a believer, then you need to be mindful of this ayat. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم. Number one, if Allah Azza wa Jal is to be remembered in front of you, then your heart will feel the legacy of Allah Azza wa Jal. Wajal, khawf, fear. You will be remembering the legacy of the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. You're not talking about any of the entities or the creations around you. You're talking about the mighty, the creator, the sustainer of this universe, the one who created you and created this huge, magnificent universe. إنما المؤمنون الذين إذا ذكر الله وجلت قلوبهم وإذا تليت عليهم آياته زادتهم إيمانا. Now, number two, if the ayat of Allah is recited unto you, then your iman will be increased. So now, remember, there are three rules as gauge for your heart, as gauge for you to know whether you are a true mu'min or not mu'min. Number one is if Allah Azza wa Jal is mentioned in front of you, you will become wajil, in a state of alertness. Right. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ, if the ayat of Allah is recited unto you, زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا, your iman will increase. Now this has two implications. The first one, that iman goes up and down. And that's a fact we know as believers, as Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we believe that iman goes up and down. But one of the ways that can help increase your iman and sustain it and maintain it in a good shape is reciting the Quran. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. And that's why Allah Azza said in the Surah An-Nisa, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ, shall they not reflect and ponder on the Quran? So in Ramadan, we know that there is association between Quran and Siyam in the month of Ramadan, right? But now, not any recitation can do you. You need to take the time of reflection. Quality matters before quantity. Both combined will be perfect. But if not, then at least try to make this Ramadan a unique Ramadan that would help you to get a kick out of this beautiful month. As you're fasting, take the time, sit down, get the English translation, whatever translation you have from your own native language, and try to read and go over the meanings, so you get an exposure to what these ayat should be doing to your heart. وَإِذَا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And on their Lord they are counting. These three things. If you feel that if Allah mentioned in front of you, you become in state of alertness, you become wajil, you become afraid, you become worried, you become concerned, you become more mindful of the power and of the might Allah Azza wa Jal, then you're in good shape. Number two, if Quran recitation is increasing your iman and helping you to sustain your level of iman and improving your status and connection with Allah Azza wa Jal the Mighty, then you're in good shape. And the third, have an ultimate count on the mighty Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's what the ayah or the surah, by the way, demonstrates to us. Because Al-Anfal speaks about the battle of Badr. And the battle of Badr came in a time when the Sahaba were still, just barely settled in Medina, in the second year of the Hijrah. And it took place, by the way, in the month of Ramadan, the 17th of Ramadan. طيب. Now, let's see what was the conditions of the Muslimin in that time. The Muslim state of Islam in Medina was still, in the infant stages. They left Mecca leaving behind them their money, leaving behind them their, the how accommodations, assets, everything. They come, with only by themselves, and they were accepted by the Ansar in a very poor, town. Medina was, by the way, and when you go to Medina right now, you see these beautiful, fancy decorations. Medina was a very, very poor town before the Prophet migrated to it. It was full of diseases, and it's full of, fight among the Khazraj and the Al Aus. It was very difficult, rough environment to live in. Though Allah Azza put the barakah because of the dua of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and things gradually started to flourishing. Now, the Prophet ﷺ, wanted to make it difficult for Quraysh to continue to come and attack the Muslimin. Because remember, they left behind them all their money. Quraysh did not leave them. The Prophet ﷺ escaped from Quraysh attempt to assassinate him. When he was in his home, Quraysh gathered 40 of the strong men from different tribes in Mecca, so they can kill the Prophet ﷺ. Allah Azza saved him. So there's all the reasons and that would qualify the Muslims to start weakening the economy of the Quraysh to prevent it from the strike back, because Quraysh did not leave Muslims by themselves. So one of the ways is to attack their main route of trade, which is between Bilad Sham and Medina and Mecca. So they have the path has to go through Medina. So the Prophet ﷺ found a chance for one of the caravans that coming by the leadership of Abu Sufyan radiallahu anhu, become Muslim later on, and only have 40 guards in it, which is easily to capture. And the Prophet ﷺ main attempt was only to capture a proportion of what the Muslims have lost to Quraysh. And then eventually Allah Azza describes how the details of this battle took place and how the Sahaba were totally counting and dependent on Allah Azza wa Jal. إذ يعدكم الله إحدى الطائفتين وتودون أن غير ذات الشوكة تكون لكم يريد الله يحق الحق بكلماته ولو كره الكافرون ولو كره المجرمون. Allah Azza then describes how the Sahaba, when they left from Medina, only 317 or 14 people come with the Prophet ﷺ. They said, this is only going to capture the spoils, the caravan. There is no need for us. There is no fight. When the Prophet ﷺ learned that the caravan was saved, and the Quraysh, out of their arrogance, come with 1,000 armed, soldiers to attack the Prophet ﷺ and the Medina, at that point he consulted with the Sahaba and said, "Ya ayyuha al-qawm, ashiru alayhi. Tell me, what should I do?" One of the al-Miqdad, he said, "Ya Rasulullah, we are with you. If you to cross the sea, we'll come with you." He said again, "Ya ayyuha nas, ashiru alayhi. Give me an opinion. What should I do?" And then the Ansar realized, "Ya Rasulullah, maybe you are talking to us." He said, "Yes." Then Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu stood up and said, "Ya Rasulullah, we have welcomed you to our Medina, our city, and we have vowed to stand for you all the way to the end, Ya Rasulullah." He said something that pleased the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet was smiling and said, "By Allah Azza wa Jal, I am promised the victory. I am promised the victory. Let's go ala barakatillah." So the Sahaba, look into this way. They were not ready. They did not have the weapons which qualify them to face 1,000 soldiers at that time, which was a large number. And they were not ready for the fight. But because the Prophet ﷺ was with them and he gave them the assurance this is going to happen, khalas, this is it. Ya Rasulullah, we bought Al-Jannah when we gave you the covenant, the bay'ah. Khalas, this is it. Regardless of the circumstances and the challenges and difficulties, we are with you. على ربهم يتوكلون. خلاص احنا توكلنا على الله. We're counting on Allah Azza wa Jal. Regardless. We've seen it throughout history. Look into Palestine. The people of Palestine said, we need to stand up for the aggression of the Israelis. And we have no means. We have only the stone. People were saying, laughing at them, "What are you going to do with a stone?" Allah Azza wa Jal gave them, with that stone, gave them a victory. And throughout the history, there are so many stories. إذ يعدكم الله إحدى الطائفتين أنها لكم وتودون أن غير ذات الشوكة تكون لكم. خلاص الله عز وجل أنتم كتب عليكم القتال وهو كره لكم. Allah Azza wants you to stand up for your rights and you don't like it because it's difficult on us, but Allah Azza wants you to be counting and dependent on Him. And then Allah Azza also appointed to us throughout this how at-tawakkul of the Sahaba was not only by, tawakkal ala Allah, tie your camel and then go ahead. إذ تستغيثون ربكم إذ تستغيثون ربكم. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam spent the whole night praying to Allah Azza wa Jal. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu came from behind him and said, when his thawb fall behind, said, Ya Rasulullah, kafaka munajataka rabbika, innahu munjizuka ma wa'adak. Enough, Ya Rasulullah, take it easy on yourself. Allah promised you. Even though Allah Azza wa revealed to the Prophet sallam that you will be giving the victory, the Prophet sallam took by the asbab all the way to the end. And one of the main asbab is الدعاء. تستغيثون ربكم, not only supplicate. تستغيثون, إغاثة, استغاثة, the exaggerated form of dua. إذ تستغيثون ربكم. And then the Prophet ﷺ also took by the means of the war, asbab. When he settled in the location that's called Badr, he settled behind the spring of the water. And then the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, أهذا منزل أنزلكه الله أم هو الحلب والنكيدة? Ya Rasulullah, is this something that Allah Azza wants you to settle in, or this is, the war? He said, no, إنه الحرب والمكيدة. This is the war. He said, Ya Rasulullah, this is not the right place. Look, the Sahaba, they had the adab, but also they had also the intelligence. And the Prophet did not, belittle their opinion. Said, let it be. So they moved and let the spring of water behind them, so they are able to capture the source of the water to prevent it from Quraysh, and that made a huge difference. And throughout, وما جعله الله إلا بشرى لكم ولتطمئن قلوبكم به وما النصر إلا من عند الله إن الله عزيز حكيم and إذ يغشيكم النعاس أمنة منه. Different karamat came to the Sahaba throughout this battle. إذ تستغيثون ربكم فاستجاب لكم أن يمدكم بألف من الملائكة مردفين. After your istighatha, after supplication, Allah said, I'm sending unto you thousands of the malaika. One malak is enough. A tip of a wing will be more than enough to destroy a whole town, like what happened to Qawm Lut. Allah will send 1,000. And Allah tells the Sahaba, وَمَا جَعَلَهُ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بُشْرَى لَكُمْ. The malaika, though they are very tough, they are only just to comfort your hearts. وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. Victory is from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now, if the Muslim Ummah to understand this right now, we would not be living in the conditions we're in right now. Because whenever you talk, we don't have the means, we're behind, we're technologically behind. Allah is the one who gives victory. وَمَا النَّصْرُ إِلَّا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ. It's from Allah Azza wa Jal. All you need to do is to take by the prerequisites we talked about. Be from those who إِذَا ذُكِرَ اللَّهُ وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُم وإذا تُلِيَتْ عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتُهُ زَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا, and then be from those وَهُمْ وَعَلَى رَبِّهِمْ يَتَوَكَّلُونَ. And then the karamat throughout the ma'araka is so beautiful. It's not the time to go into the details. How the Abbas, the uncle of Prophet ﷺ, was captured by a very tiny Sahabi. And when the Prophet ﷺ, when they met the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Rasulullah, this is not the man who captured me. He wants to defend himself, and I wasn't captured by a small man like this. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I am the one who captured him. He said, no. A malak held you on him. A giant malak held you on him. And then to conclude the ayat, الذين يقيمون الصلاة, those who establish the salah. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ ينفقون. See, salah is first of all to establish the iman, and then action. Salah and then infaq. And tonight, inshallah, I hope that we're going to demonstrate that to our guests. Infaq, تقيموا الصلاة وانفقون. And then what would be the consequences? What are the applications of this? أولئك هم المؤمنون حقا. Those are indeed the true believers. So what's their reward, Ya Rabbi? لهم درجات عند ربهم. They have stages, higher stages into their Lord, Ya Rabbihim. ومغفرة, forgiveness. ورزق كريم, Ya Allah. A kareem, provision from Allah Azza. So this is one of the ways to increase your provision. One of the ways to bless your provision is to be, filling these 5 things. وجلة القلوب, and then, the tawakkul, the increasing of the iman, توكل على الله عز وجل, إقامة الصلاة، إنفاق في سبيل الله. نسأل الله عز وجل أن ينفعنا بالقرآن ونسال الله جل وعلا ان يبارك لنا في هذا الشهر، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين.